Hello, I'm Jennifer Bleiker, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Consent Building blog. Last time we talked about in clinic number 74, why your website needs a makeover. Chances are your most powerful consent building tool is your most underutilized. And a couple of things I didn't get to touch on in that clinic were your Contact Us page. Now remember, I spoke about the About Us page, and then it really shouldn't be about you. It should be about why you do what you do. Why are you spending your life, your professional life, your hard work, your time, and all of your energy doing what you do? Why have you dedicated yourself to the mission that the public gave you? Similarly, on your contact page, tell us a little bit about you. Don't just give us all of your credentials and your phone number and hopefully your email address as well. I'll get to that in a moment. So do include some of those basics, but also give us a little snapshot about you and why you're doing what you're doing and why you're here and how you feel that you are serving your public. So remind us of that. Maybe even link back to the About Us page. So the Contact Us page, whatever you do, don't let your web designer create a blank form where the person puts in their information and their message, and somebody will figure out where it goes to and to whom it goes, and at some point, hopefully, somebody will get back to them. That is such a huge mistake. I'm sure you've experienced it, and if you haven't, chances are you will at some point. And I have to tell you, it's really frustrating because when you go to send a message to someone, maybe it's with your public works department, and there's no person, there's no direct person that you're allowed to email. It just goes to this blank form, and you don't know if it's ever really received. You don't know who will be getting it. You don't know when you'll hear back. There's no real accountability. There's no connection. There's certainly no relationship. So that's one of the things in your contact page. Please have a mailing address, phone number, personal email address, and have it pop up so it makes it very user-friendly. Remind yourselves, you're here to serve the public. And you do that in all these small little details. Add up. And the people, your opponents or your work's opponents, who are convinced that you're not real human beings, this kind of adds up to them. And it's a bit of kryptonite. It's going to be very hard for them to deny that you're a human, especially if you put a face with it. Put your image up there. Give a little snapshot of why you're inspired to do the work you're doing, why you work as hard as you do, and maybe a little snapshot of your personal life. You love to go hiking. You have a motorcycle. You have 3 dogs. Whatever it is, give us a little snapshot to help make you more human. That also will make you less of a target for those who are just in denial that you're a hardworking person, you're fallible, you make mistakes like the rest of us. And that's what we need to remind particularly your opponents about. You're human, and you feel like what you're working on is worth working on. So inspire people and remind them that you are just a mere human who's found this work to be so meaningful, it's worth doing. Now, on the frequently asked questions page, whatever you do, don't sugarcoat. Put it all out there. And that means the bad news. Remember, I talked about being the first and best source of any bad news, any negative impacts that your project or program is likely to have or will have, whether that's higher taxes or showing up in somebody's backyard or having to divert traffic. Whatever it is, you be the first and best source of bad information, negative impacts. You put that on your frequently asked page, not at the bottom, but at the top, so people know, hey, you're not trying to hide this information. Don't sugarcoat anything. Don't go into any great detail about, don't beat yourselves up. I mean, detail's fine, but don't beat yourselves up either. You have a mission to accomplish, and if this is the best way forward, explain that to us and get our informed consent that, yeah, you're right, this is the best way to go forward. Now, ideally, as I mentioned in the clinic, if you're really ready to use the full power of your website, you'll even link to or just even grab screenshots of websites from your opponents that say, hey, this is what these folks are feeling. This is their perspective. we think they've got it wrong. Here's what we think they got wrong. Here's what they seem to have right. There is some truth to this. This part is purely rumor. Lay it out for us so that we don't have to search somewhere else to get the full picture of the impacts of your project, particularly the negative impacts. So if your frequently asked questions page, if you have one, if it's so complete, you kind of steal the thunder of your opponents. And I'm telling you, that is some really powerful stuff, because what the public will conclude, even those who aren't opposed to your work, they'll conclude that you seem not to be hiding anything. You seem to be pretty sure, given all this information, even the negative impacts, that it's still the right way forward. You're aware of the rumors, you're aware of the misinformation, you're aware of those who are opposed to what you're doing, and you explain why you think they still have it wrong. So do your best to put it all out there. Don't sugarcoat, don't beat yourselves up. Just get to the point and always remind us that why you're doing what you're doing is the most reasonable and responsible way forward. Now, one item I did mention in the clinic, but I just want to be sure to really hit it home for you, is the importance of having an opt-in form on your website. That kind of, where somebody, they might not even have to give their first name, but certainly their email address, and then they can select how to stay current on those topics that are important to them. I gotta tell you, you don't own Facebook, you don't own Instagram, you don't own any of these other platforms, but what you have a great amount of control over is your website and your emails. So use those two together, and you're gonna have a very powerful consent building tool that will get right to the issues that matter to the most people, and you can get really, really sophisticated in this. You just have to do a lot of thinking ahead of time. I'd be happy to talk with you offline about that if you have any questions or specific ideas, or you want to hear my in-depth ideas. I'd be more than happy to tell you. I just can't do it all here on the blog. So I needed to follow up with these last points, and we have next month's Consent Building Clinic, the last of 2015, number 75, on decoding digital engagement. It's going to be a powerful addition to number 74 about your website, because it's going to add on social media. How do you use social media to keep an informed public, or develop an informed public and nurture it as such? And this misnomer about engagement by itself is good. So I'm going to get all into that in that 45-minute presentation. You got to get ready. Again, if you want to follow up with any questions about number 74 and your website, I am more than happy to help you. Just email me, Jennifer@consentbuilding.com. You can always find us online there as well, consentbuilding.com. Hey, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.